So the first story is Iris Energy earnings report. So Iris Energy is one of my biggest Bitcoin mining bags, and I'm sure both of you as well, Dom and Tristan, you guys are shareholders as well, right? And with IREN, they just reported their earnings, and it was pretty well received, if I do say so myself. So the stock only went up like 5% after hours after they reported. However, today, when the market opened, I think at one point it traded over 20% up on the day, and I think it came back down a little near the end of the day, but it still finished around 15% up. So yeah, like it was a very well received report. So let's go through kind of some of the highlights, and let's go through exactly what was kind of reported and why did people like it so much. So I got this summary from Twitter, from X, by this user named Umbi Sam. Sorry if I mispronounced his name, but I think he's one of the biggest like people in the Twitter slash X Bitcoin mining community, and he's a big bull on IREN as well. So he made this summary. So let's just go through it. There's only about 7 points. So number one is that IREN reported their efficiency has increased. So the efficiency of Bitcoin miners is measured in joules per exahash. So joules is a measure of energy, and exahash or terahash, sorry, terahash is how much hashing power, how much compute they're putting forward, and you want that number to be as low as possible, right? Like lower is better because it means you're using less energy per terahash. So their current efficiency, IREN, is coming in at about 19 joules per exahash, which is better than what a lot of analysts were expecting, which was in the low 20s, right? Like 20 or 21, which was Umbisam's estimate. And yeah, so that's number one. Number two is that not only are they exceeding expectations on the efficiency right now, they're also projected to improve their efficiency to 15 joules per exahash by the end of this year, which is again better than the 16 joules per exahash that many analysts were expecting. And number three, it's the end of hedging. So I think it was the last report or the monthly update or something where they reported that they lost a bunch of money using these like hedging contracts that tried, like the idea is that they try to protect themselves from fluctuations of energy costs in the energy market. But then sometimes, with hedges, it can work against you as well if the market moves against you. So it adds a lot of uncertainty. And what happens with IREN is that the market moved against them last month or something, and then they lost like millions of dollars. So they addressed this on this earnings call by saying that they're trying to end that practice and then replace it with software that helps manage it. So I'm not sure exactly like what they're doing to help mitigate the problem, but they're basically trying to reassure us that that problem won't happen again. So that's that. Number four is that, again, low cost of energy in total, like the cost of the kilowatt hours that they're paying is extremely low. So they're getting 3.1 cents per kilowatt hour. And just to put that into context, that's very low for North America. I believe IREN is based out of Texas. So the only places that I've seen where you can get, that kind of price or even slightly below it in like the twos, like 2 point something cents per kilowatt hours is in Paraguay and Argentina and in South America, basically. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm also a big investor in Bitfarms, is because Bitfarms operates in South America where they're paying even lower prices than that. But then, with Bitfarms, it kind of balances out because they're paying higher than 3.1 cents for their facilities in Quebec, Canada, and there are facilities in Pennsylvania that they're just acquiring from Stronghold. So blended, I believe that Bitfarms does have higher than IREN now in terms of the cost of energy. So IREN is paying like in total overall lower than what even Bitfarms is paying, which is nice. And I believe I also read something about the August energy costs in Texas just dropping a lot. So I think maybe last year we had some more extreme weather, and this year the weather is like cooperating a little bit more. So, uh, energy costs in Texas is in August at least this year was a lot lower than last year. So that's that. Number five, hardware margin in mining. Anything above 50% is extremely compelling, arguably the best in the industry. And in August, IREN reached an even higher hardware margin, which is 55 to 60%. Number six, AI conversations. They're continuing to expand their AI kind of side of the business. There's ongoing conversations, and maybe there'll be new partnerships and new contracts coming soon. We'll have to see, but there's that. And then number seven is that the cost of developed megawatt hours has reduced from 750K per megawatt hours to 650K per megawatt hours, which is a 13.5% reduction with the same quality. So basically, they're paying less to acquire, the same amount or more megawatt hours. Yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty good summary as to why IREN went up so much is because the market really liked this report. So I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to read over the report. Again, I only read the highlights as well. I haven't had the time to read through every single bit of the report. But regardless if you guys read the whole thing or just the highlights, or maybe you're hearing about it for the first time for the summary, regardless, what did you guys think about the IREN report? And what are you more bullish or less bullish on IREN going forward? Just what are your thoughts on IREN in general, or maybe even if you want to speak about the general Bitcoin mining industry, you can speak to it as well. So I'll leave that open. So yeah, anyone wants to take it away?
I can chime in real quick here. Super sad for me because I think yesterday I sold out a bit of iron, thinking that it would get a lot worse, and then this news comes in, and then the stock does obviously really well. I'll probably eventually find a way back in, but I think with the news that you just explained and all these bullet points, I haven't checked any other prior information. Everything sounds pretty promising, and eventually I'll try to find a way back into iron somehow, some way. I mean, it's just another day, and then there's always going to be some random red day where I can position myself inwards, and if that's the case, then I'll probably find my way back into the stock. Everything looks pretty good in terms of iron, and in terms of Bitcoin mining in general. I think I'm overall bullish. I think it's a nice play. Slight risk, or it might not even be a risk while I'm young, so I'm willing to take that. So
Not to pour salt in the wound, but may I ask why you decided to sell IREN? Just curious. Like, what did you do with the money? Did you pour it into another stock, or?
oh yeah, well yeah. To be fair, we talked about that this morning. I poured more money into Bit Farms. To be fair, um, also my position at Iron was fairly small because I don't want to buy too much of it because it's American after all, and that's a little more complicated for us Canadians over here with conversions and etc. But I'm still in the game, so it's okay. But you know what though, I'll find my way back into Iron, and I'm sure another red day will come, like I said before. So that's coming soon, okay? That will come soon.
I mean, in my opinion, it's not really a big deal if you pour the money into Bit Farms because, what I find is that these Bitcoin miners they tend to rotate. So, one week IREN does really well and Bit Farms does nothing, or maybe even goes down, and then next week it might be the opposite, right? So, yeah, I don't think it's like selling one miner to buy another BTC miner is kind of like I don't know. It feels like a wash to me. So I don't see a big deal on that at all. I think you're still going to win in the long term. But yeah, Tristan, what are your thoughts on IREN's reports?
Yeah, so maybe I missed this, but did you mention that they are at 15 exahash installed as of August 28 2024?
Yeah, actually,
Because
that was not part of this summary, but
Mhm.
that's good thing to remind me. I think because they were at like 10 exahash operational last time I checked, and then but in this report they also confirmed that they installed 5 exahash. So and they're still on track to hit. I think their goal was 30 exahash by the end of the year. So they're planning on doubling their exahash from here, even though they just installed a ton of machines to get 5 more exahash.
Yep, exactly. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on, because I think that news is actually really important for this report, because it really shows that they're well on the way to getting to their target of 30 exahash. Because if we were in August, end of August, and they were not at least halfway there, I would be very seriously concerned that they were not going to be reaching it. With this, at least, I think they are more likely to undershoot it slightly than to completely miss, which I think is a big fear that a lot of people would have, would be the fact that, you know, there is a measurable likelihood that they just undershoot by, you know, say 5 exahash, so they get to 25. But I think without any proven growth, I feel like I would be more like, are they going to undershoot by like 10 exahash? So the fact that they're already at least at 15 and making their way up that ladder, I think is a good sign. And they are using efficient machines for that growth projection. So I would say that is generally a good sign. So I think that overall, this is pretty bullish. It's a pretty good sign. By and large, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Again, they have their HPC side of the business, which isn't massive compared to their Bitcoin mining, at least from what I can tell. But the fact that they finally got that energy cost back under control means that their mining can go back to being profitable, and they can really reap the benefits of the additional exahash that they're building out. So from that perspective, I would say that they've got a pretty good setup going into the coming months. Again, not financial not financial advice, but I am very bullish on them, particularly because you know, as Dom was saying, how you know, USD is a pain in the butt. I actually have had more USD gains in the last few couple of years than Canadian gains. So I actually ended up with more USD than I would have expected. So IREN was actually a really good spot there for a while, because I was able to pivot like Coinbase profits into IREN, and then take advantage of some of those gains as well. So I would say that like this is kind of a scenario where IREN is pretty well set up for the future. You know, I wouldn't say they're ridiculously undervalued at this point. I would say that they are a bit undervalued. So I would say that a fair value for IREN is greater than $10. It's probably more like 10, 11-ish dollars. 11 to 12. That's kind of the fair value range. Whereas, you know, some of the other companies I wouldn't say have reached fair value. And that's for their current position. That's not for after they've finished their growth. That's just for what they've currently kitted out and at current Bitcoin prices. So I think that there is a lot to like here, for me in particular. And I am definitely not going to be selling out.
Yeah, no, good point. And regarding what you said about the CAD versus USD gains, I think the issue is that I think this is probably the case for you as well. But for me, it's like most of my like Canadian-based investments are like Bitfarms, just like one company. So and unfortunately, Bitfarms hasn't performed as well as I had hoped so far. Now, this is not to say I've lost faith in Bitfarms or anything like that. I think that Bitfarms is probably actually the most undervalued Bitcoin mining company right now. It's even more undervalued than IREN, especially now that IREN's gone up like 15% after this report. But yeah, unfortunately, like so far, the market hasn't been exactly like super fair to Bitfarms. I think like there's a lot of FUD that's been thrown around, and there was like the CEO dispute, and then there was like Paraguay FUD, and then there was like there's just a bunch of stuff, and then you got the riot, like hostile takeover still going on. So yeah, unfortunately, there's just a lot of things that's happened with Bitfarms that I didn't foresee, but I still think that Bitfarms will do incredibly well, especially if Bitcoin starts to make its bull run, right? So again, not financial advice, that's just my opinion. Regarding what you said about IREN's exahash, yeah, I think I said this in a previous episode as well. I don't think that it's like when you add exahash, it's not always a linear scale, right? So it sometimes it's like a big step. So I get what you're saying, that it is like it's objectively a good sign that they got from 10 exahash to 15 exahash, and you're saying that like this is an indication that they might be able to hit their 30 exahash goal before the end of the year. And I'm actually like a lot more bullish than that. I think they will hit their 30 exahash because like I'm not sure if you've seen like the satellite images of like the Childress facility. They're building it pretty fast, and the Childress facility is huge. So like all it takes is for them to finish building and then get their shipment of Bitcoin miners and then plug them in, and then they could like install maybe like 10 exahash in like a couple of months, like fairly easily once they have the facility up and running, right? So I think it's like it's important not to like get too caught up in like the linear scale where it's like, okay, if they took them 2 months to add 5 exahash, then does that mean that it's going to take them 2 more months to add another 5 exahash? It doesn't always work out like that. So yeah, I mean, but again, objectively, it is a pretty bullish sign that they went from 10 exahash to 15 within like what is it, 2 months, right? Like the last time they put out their report, when they said that they were at 10, it was 10 point something. It was like slightly over 10, but close enough.